Hello to everyone, and welcome back to Multifamily Mastery. This is the podcast where I take you on a journey into multifamily investing as a complete beginner, hopefully end up somewhere someday. I'm your host, Jonathan Zook, and once again, welcome. I'm here with the Jason Yarusi. If you are in the seven-figure multifamily mastermind, you definitely know who he is because he kind of runs it. I am super grateful that he has come on here today to share some of his knowledge and wisdom. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, Jonathan, I'm psyched to be here, man. So really congratulations on getting out there doing a podcast. It was a huge thing that we started doing as part of our journey. It really opens up a ton of opportunities for us to learn and grow. And the same is going to happen with you. So I'm Jason Yarusi, a multifamily investor here just south of Nashville. Started investing primarily in multifamily back in 2016. Since that time, we've acquired about 3,000 units and almost about 300 million of real estate. We are in 7 states now, with primary focuses being here in the Nashville MSA, surrounding areas, and down in the Atlanta MSA. Past that, I got a beautiful wife who's also one of my partners here at the seven-figure multifamily mastermind, Pili Yarusi. 3 little kids, 13 chickens, and 1 bulldog, which keeps us busy for that point. Past that, pretty big workout enthusiast, and excited to be here today and see what we're going to dive into.
What's the thing with the chickens, man? I've seen Peely just constantly posting about chickens, and I'm kind of confused, but
Very excited about chickens. And so she was really excited for that part. She had a farm at one point back in Hawaii, but we really wanted to just have, be self-sustained, right? And so having chickens to get do your own eggs, and plus just watch them grow, a lot of fun, and just gives another activity that brings the family together.
yeah, nice. I like it. All right. So, how did you get started in real estate?
Choice, right? So I came from the bar world, restaurant world. I opened and sold a brewery. Hurricane Sandy happened. It was a big storm, decimated the East Coast, flooded a bunch of homes, just tormented homes. Well, that was 2010, 11. My dad had a construction business. He just retired. That primary focus was to lift homes that were in flood zones or for a number of other reasons. So you take the structure and raise it higher. Well, you could imagine before the storm, he would do maybe 10 or 12 projects a year. That was his business. And just the day of the storm after, his phone goes from ringing a couple times a month to 1,000 calls each and every day. Well, we moved out to New Jersey. My brother was working for me at the time in the bar world. Peely was at my girlfriend at the time. She was working with me. Moved out to New Jersey to help dad with the family business. And so we did that for the course of about 6+ years, did about 3,000 projects. So you think about that, of doing 12 a year to 3,000 projects of just raising these homes. However, between everything I've always done in my life, it's always been service oriented. However, on the other side of that, and I'll stop saying however, is that I would have to do something to get a result in terms of bartender, got to serve a beer to get a tip, right? Construction work, it was so finite and so specialized that we couldn't take a day off. We had to do the work ourselves to make sure that there was no major impact. Think of taking someone's house and moving it or lifting it, right? So we had to do the work to get the results. So we kept asking that question, like the day was driving us. How could we get back control of our time? And we came upon real estate. It was a word we talked about in a lot of ways. And that was that thing that we said, okay, let's see what real estate has to do. And we did what we thought was logical. Peely went out there and she's pregnant with our first kiddo. She gets our real estate license. We start flipping and wholesaling houses. And logically, that made sense because that's what we knew, that's what we heard. And it was going fine. But what happened is that between the construction work, between all the other projects, and now doing these flips, which was now taking away more of our energy, even though we were doing good, we were losing the want and need to get back our time and control our day. We were actually losing time. Right. So we kept asking what else is out there. And we came upon investing out of state. And we had met someone who was doing this, and we started buying some 2 and 3 units, actually in Indianapolis when we were in New Jersey. That ended up being really successful for us. We saw it. However, doing the logistics of having 50, 60 duplexes all around town made no sense to me. And I came upon large apartment investing, where I had a network of someone who was buying these large apartment buildings. And that was the discovery of like, hey, you could do this all with one large building. And I translated back to when I had small restaurants and large restaurants, right? It's the same process. You just had more economies of scale when it was a larger one. So we sold off all those small properties, dove all into large multifamily. Back in 2016, we purchased our first, we went all in 2016. 2017, we purchased our first 94 unit, and that was in Louisville, Kentucky.
You just answered like first 3 questions. I like it.
Keep it rolling, right? Keep it
Yep.
rolling.
Yep.
Well, I'll throw this back on
So,
you, right? So talk about you, the first steps you've been doing there, and what you found has been able to propel you forward in the best fashion.
okay, so my first steps, I joined the multifamily mastermind after multifamily live in June. I started this podcast a few weeks after that, and I've been learning and learning and learning and learning and learning
Yeah.
as much as I can since then. Read a lot of books, talked with a lot of people, had a lot of great people on this podcast, have a lot of great people to be on the podcast coming soon. Trying to think what else.
What were some of the ahas that have come from the podcast? One or two.
It definitely, for a 17-year-old in a business with a lot of older people, it's given me something to stand on.
Yeah.
It's
Would
definitely,
confidence be that word,
uh-huh,
right? Give, yeah,
yeah.
100%.
And it shows that I've done something, and I feel like it's earned me a lot of respect in this community. So
Yeah. 100%. Well, you're doing a great job with it, man. And the
thank you.
hardest thing is just to keep disciplined to doing it. But we started our podcast. It was called the REI, Real Estate Investing Foundation Podcast. That was the first one Peely and I did, right? And early on, it was like the dark ages, right, of us just like doing a podcast. It was rough, but we would have people that would find us and come on the show, and we would learn stuff. You know, 30 to 45, 60 minutes of a show, we would learn just the most magical things that we didn't have any idea would be coming to us, right? And so we would get we just meet these killers out there who are just doing so much in their industry. And the things they would share just really helped us build our business and continue to carry forward, because we just take, a little bit from this person, a little bit from that person, and all of a sudden starts crafting of how our business looks like.
Yeah, exactly. I've learned so much from the people that I've had on here already. So excited for what's to come, that's for sure.
Awesome,
What
man.
what would you say your favorite part of apartment multifamily is?
I'd like to see the formation of the plan, and the plan go into process and actually get the results that we intended to, right? So when we come and we buy these apartment buildings, the idea here is that we see some value creation that we can do, whether it be like fixing the property or fixing the management or a combination of both, and we use that to take the property from where it is to where we want to get it, right? So that's our idea, right? So usually the idea starts on paper, we verify it with our team, with our trades, and then day one happens when we acquire the property. I like to see the transformation of the property from where it existed to where it ends up being, whether it be 6 months or 24 months from where it is today.
Nice. All right. The opposite of that, what is your least favorite part about it?
I don't think too much on that point. I'm not a least favorite person.
Mm-hmm.
I typically just go through the processes, right? There's things that you need to get off your plate, right? There's things like invoicing and other parts that just will not be the best use of time, right? Like setting up documents. There's other points here where I've now brought people onto our team, and I have team members who do those things because they're not the highest and use best of my time, right? For me, the most beneficial things is going to be to find leads and to raise capital, right? Those are the two things that drive the business forward the most. So if my energy is being taken away from those things, ideally that's my highest and best use. However, at times I do need to fill into those roles, but anything I'm not doing that particularly pertains to those two roles are not going to drive the business forward. We do need, though, to make sure that we have a high focus on asset management, because that's driving the business forward. But for the current properties, a big focus is making sure they're performing in a way that we have detailed them out to do.
Where do you see yourself going in the future?
Our future perspective is that we focus on a deal a quarter, and we put the energy and work into do that, right? And so the goal is that the next mile marker would be to get to 5,000 units, right? So we've acquired a little over 3,000, right, on this part. We get to 5,000, it sets us in the next parameter of where our mile marker is, and then we'll look into sites further as we get closer to that goal. But the focus is to do one deal a quarter. And if we can do that, it puts us in a great position. Does that mean we're going to do a deal a quarter? No, absolutely not. If there's not the right opportunities, we won't. But putting that energy in, we find that more than not, we're on the right side of getting deals done, whether it be a couple in the second quarter and none in the third and a couple in the fourth, or spread out in any fashion.
Okay. All right. So I want to get a little bit into the mindset, your mindset, how you've done what you've done. What time do you get up every morning?
So I get up at 4:32 a.m. That's my focus. It's not a perfect window where every single day is the same for where it is, but that's my guide, and that's helped transition a lot in my life, right? And most times we create our own ways to not perform at our best self. right? We do a lot of things, bad habits, right? 40% of your day is built on habits that you repeat from the day before. So if you have 40% of your day built on bad habits, you're already starting behind when you start your new day. So I get up at 4:32 a.m., which I've used to be specific to say 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Because most of the time I'm going to get up earlier. It means nothing, right? Oh, tomorrow I'll try to get up at 5:30, but then you hit the snooze button, right? And then you hit that a couple of times and you wake up late. And that really sets the course of your day, is that you lost your first thing you're going to do. And then everything else seems to spiral out of control for the rest of the day. The more you can control the narrative of how you start the day, just like anything else, put you in the best position to start controlling your wins as you go throughout your day, building into your week, to your month, and to your year.
Okay. What would you say one of the most important habits that you've ever formed is?
Do what you say you're going to do. That's one that people can't take away from you. If you show up and say, hey, I'm going to come help you with this, and you show up and do it, first and foremost, most important, right? That'd be a good one. 2 is that if you can transition your mind to positive thoughts compared to negative thoughts. We so much negativity around us in the world. If you do this and shut the news, like, you look at how can I, how will I, and not, oh, I can't, I won't, or but, right? So if you think of everything instead of yes and, right, or instead of being but, you start to transition your mind to think in a more positive fashion.
Okay. And if y'all are looking for a lot more mindset stuff like that, what's that podcast that you have?
Yeah, Live 100 podcast, man. It's out there. It's rocking and rolling. So we are just really excited with the feedback so far.
Nice. I've listened to a few episodes. I really like it.
Awesome.
So,
thank you.
All right. Run me through kind of an average day in the life of Jason Yarusi.
I dictate a lot of it on the calendar, right? And so we'll get up early. I'll work out, right? Have a glass of water, have coffee. I'll meditate, right? Peely will have her time. We'll get the kids to school. After that, I come into the office. The office is dictated by the day, right? Some days we have meetings, some days we have property overview meetings. Other points are just more of time to get through the tasks that we need to complete to continue to carry the business forward. End of the day, depending where it is, I coach a couple of the kids' sports teams or have a bunch of the kids' sports activities that I will get out to those, finish the night with dinner with the family, back to get reset for the next day.
Nice. Yeah, that's most of it. All right. One last question.
Go for it, man. This is awesome.
If you could give any piece of advice or multiple advices, if that's a thing, to young people in my generation, what would it be?
You have so much time to act and figure it out, right? Most of us sit in the sidelines for years waiting for the perfect thing to show up because we're fearful of something bad that's going to happen by just taking any action. But you don't want to look back 20 years from now and say, man, I wish I did, right? So think of me like, if I was your age right now and like, just think of it like playing guitar, right? Like if I just start playing the guitar, like I'm never going to be out there and, and be, Slash of Van Halen, and you probably don't even know, but in that front
I know who they are.
Van Halen,
Yeah, I do.
but Slash of Guns N' Roses. But on that fact, I'd probably be pretty darn dynamic, right? But I look back and I waited for all these moments, right? And so if I wait for all these moments, well, the result's never going to come. I'm not getting the chance. But the perfect moment never comes. Starting really dictates your course of action to learn the better questions to get the better results. My life is built on learning better questions. It's not that I'm missing the answers, is that I don't know the question I need to get to the answer. And you doing, right? Just doing this podcast, right? It's out there. You're learning all these things, right? You just taking the first step, saying, today I'm going to do something and then do it, stands on its own to really help build you to get you to the level of success that you deserve to have.
Okay, nice. I like it. I think that's about it. You got anything
You're a killer,
else you
man.
want to add?
I really am really awesome that you're doing this podcast. Do it, man. Enjoy it. This is a lot of fun time to just talk to people and just talk and just really just grow, right? The podcast was a huge thing for us. You continue to carry that forward. So congrats on doing this here. When you get it out, we'd be psyched to share it. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of days at the mastermind event coming up here. But you keep just rocking, man. This is a huge step.
Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you a lot for being on here. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'll see you guys on the next episode.